Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you know what that sound means? Time for In the Paddock F1, Greeny and the Cheese. The first stop in Asia for the 2025 season on the F1 calendar has a stop in the land of China, Shanghai to be exact. It's the Chinese Grand Prix. Shanghai is one of the world's major centers for. Check this out, Michael. It's a gosh darn list. Finance, business, economics, research, science and technology, manufacturing, transportation. That's right up your alley, sir. Tourism and culture. And the port of Shanghai is also the busiest container port in the world. But while you're there, maybe you want to check out Yew Garden. It was built in 1577.
Yeah,
That's a
19's not as
long-ass
friendly
time
in
ago.
China.
No,
Building anything in 1980 don't friendly in
15,
China.
1577, un pardon, sir. Or you want to check out the Bund waterfront, the promenade there along the Huangpu River. Maybe check out Pearl Tower, check out the views of Shanghai. But as well, you might as well, while you're there, check out a little Shanghai Disneyland. How about that, Michael? You stop it.
Absolutely. Never been to China, never had the privilege. I'm learning Chinese now so I can go one day.
Very nice, sir. But this ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. We're racing the Shanghai International Circuit. 3.38 miles, 16 corners, 2 DRS zones. You give it the full beans for 68% of your laps. And oh, baby, the track was repaved and the boys were cooking. But Oscar got off to a quick start on his first F1 pole, and he was off and away from the start there after turn 1 for McLaren 1-2 for the 50th time in their history. Russell comes in third to round out the podium. Ferrari was then disqualified. Not one car, but both cars. Absolute disaster. Along with Gasly also got DQ'd as well. Us unpacking this one. Holy cannolis. We're caffeinated, we're medicated. Greeny, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, and what an early morning, ridiculously early morning race we had here. We're changing things up right after the race as I had everything written down once again, and after another race, having to scratch and change things up. Last year we had the Kimi Antonelli situation of 5-second penalty or not 5-second penalty, and this week we have a triple elimination, but most importantly 2 Ferraris that had improved. Obviously Lewis gets the sprint race win, which we did not mention, or you did not mention, so you get some points out of the weekend, but not a good day at all. A terrible day for Ferrari, an amazing day for McLaren. Like you said, 1-2 for the 50th time, and that seems like it should have happened a long time ago. But it's been a long time since McLaren's like really on top, and they're seizing the moment from day, right at the first race, second race. You have 2 winners, and you got one of each driver. Lando's still in the lead in the points race, but Lando is, let me tell you, for those who didn't watch the race, Lando's luckier than a blindfolded half-court shot of coming in second there, because he had no brakes. There was nothing left.
Yeah.
There was nothing left in that car. No. That man is... if that was one more lap, he would have finished, I don't know, 7th. Yeah. It was done, and if it was 2 more laps, he would have been DQ'd or just fallen back. Had to pay. It was that close. It was that close. So Lando Norris should have won. Probably, I think if everything was perfect for him, but it wasn't perfect. Oscar Piastri, his 3rd career win, and it seems like just McLaren is lucky to get the 1-2 for sure, but firing on all cylinders, and we got a title race, but it's not between Max Verstappen and Lando. It's between Oscar and Lando, because McLaren, if they have a showing like this again in Japan, going another 1-2 again in 2 weeks, they could be taken off really early, because Red Bull looks terrible. We'll get to a lot of Red Bull. They look terrible. Max is already in emergency meetings. They're already calling for emergency meetings over at Red Bulls already. So, as they should, because it's an absolute disaster. They're worse than they were down the stretch last year, and they were not good. Liam Lawson, an absolute disaster. He cannot drive that car. We'll get to him in a few minutes as well. But McLaren, congratulations to Oscar on his third career win. And McLaren and everything Zach Brown has done to bring this team over the last 12 months from a joke to being an absolute powerhouse in this sport. And as we sit here in the U.S., as the sport just continues to grow exponentially month by month here in the United States. So, can't wait for just the action of McLaren. But Ferrari, did they get screwed, Cheese? Or was this all justified? You're talking about like a millimeter of a fraction of a centimeter here.
The rules. It's the rules. You can't break the rules. You can't come in underweight. That's a gosh darn embarrassment. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. You can't come in underweight. And if you know your car is bottoming out, probably after the sprint race, you probably had an idea. It's just amateur hour. That's amateur hour.
Did they concentrate too much on the sprint race after having a 7th and a 10th last week in Australia?
I mean, Lewis was absolutely shocked that he had pole anyway. He was shocked he had pole. He didn't think he was, the quickest out there at that point. He was shocked. He said in the post in the interview, he was like, "I'm absolutely shocked." So, and Lewis knows how to drive. Once you got through the first couple laps in that sprint race, it was just to try and hold on to the tires. And he's a veteran, so he can take care of the tires. But then they made changes to his car that he said to put the car on a knife's edge. But that doesn't matter when you wear the plank too far for him. And then you got Leclerc, who comes in underweight. Just absolutely embarrassing. It's embarrassing. You went all in on this season, and it's just a complete debacle to start. Absolute debacle to start the season. Debacle.
Yeah. Do you think Lewis Hamilton...
It is a shit show and a dumpster fire, my friend.
Do you think Lewis Hamilton's thinking, look at Merc right now. I would love to be driving next to a guy that has finished back-to-back podiums. Yeah. Only 2 drivers have back-to-back podiums in the first 2 races this year. And one of them's driving in a Mercedes. And none of them are driving in a Ferrari. Obviously, it's early, but what do you think your initial reaction to Lewis Hamilton arriving at Ferrari and Mercedes having the success they've had in these first 2 races? Because George Russell, 2 podiums, only him and Lando are the only 2 drivers to have double podium, which means they're the only 2 drivers eligible to podium every race this year.
I mean, you never know how these things are really going to shake out. Merc was ending this, end of the season up and down, but you have a lot of changes to the car over the off season, make the improvements on the direction that they were taking the car, and you go from there. I mean, but the start for Ferrari is absolutely atrocious compared to the direction they were expecting to be and where they actually are. And you got to take a hard look in the mirror after this, because that's embarrassing. You can't have, let alone one car, but both cars be DQ'd for just rule violations. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, this is such like a September thing for Ferrari.
Shame on you.
That's a September thing for Ferrari when they're like, competitive, and that's like the thing they screw up, down the stretch. It usually doesn't happen early. It gives you the hope. Ferrari gives you the hope early. It starts and then they screw it up the second half of the season. Now they're just coming right out the gate screwing it up, and we'll see what happens. Obviously going to Japan, but they got to get on a podium, and they got to get on a podium quick to make up for the crap that's happened in both races. All right, because that sprint race win don't mean diddly poo.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us, as we're always bold here, that brings us into our new segment, and that is bold predictions. I'll give you a bold prediction here. Liam Lawson's got 72 hours left in his F1 career.
Wow. Wow.
I think Yuki Tsunoda, despite the fact that he once again just fell apart, finishing with 14th this week, after looking good in practice and quali, but
16th actually.
16th, even better. What do you do? Can anyone be worse than Liam Lawson, who finished quali dead last? He can't handle that car. He just cannot handle that car at all, and it's now obvious. It's been too long, because everyone looks at it like, oh, it's only the first race, it's only the second race. We have 3 races now, because you got the sprint race too. So now you got 3 races in that car. Plus you have testing. Plus you have, to be honest, that's not the first time he's driven that vehicle, was testing. I'm sure he's taken we know he's taken plenty of laps in that Red Bull. Does the Red Bull feel different than the 2024 Red Bull that he might have had more laps in? Maybe, but he's driven enough laps in the 2025 Red Bull at this point. Maybe the V-carb is just better for him. I don't know. That's what people are saying, that it just would be better for him. Maybe F2 would be better for him, because he's just a disaster. And you can see in the post-race interviews, his confidence level is shot. And we talked about it. You can go back a couple episodes, as we had the preseason episode we had a few weeks ago before Australia, and we talked about it at length. Is the pressure on Liam Lawson? Is he in the pressure cooker from day one? And you said it, sir. Like, absolutely. There's no grace period here for Liam Lawson.
No.
There's zero grace period.
Dude. This is cutthroat business. It's a cutthroat business. It's put up or shut up. I got a bold prediction for you to come back at yours. Danny Ricciardo will be Max Verstappen's teammate.
Ooh. Listen, you can't do worse than dead last. So you can't do, can you do worse than Red Bull is right now? You can't do worse than Liam Lawson.
No, this was supposed to. Well, did you see the post-race questioning of Christian Horner? Because they asked him, you paid off Sergio Perez for an improvement. Is this the improvement? And he got very testy and pissed off.
That's a great question. Kudos to the reporter that asked. Get the name of that reporter. Kudos to the name. That's a backhanded way to ask a question, that's for sure. Because you know the answer.
So, and he got testy. So Christian Horner's he's pissed off. They're calling, emergency meetings. Marco confirmed that they're calling an emergency meeting about this. So, Liam Lawson's not going to be in that seat in Japan. Somebody else is going to be in that seat. Yuki Tsunoda. They're calling Danny Ricciardo back up from down under. I don't know if they're calling Seb Vettel back. They're calling Seb because, rumor had it that Seb wants to get back in. So, there's options. There's
options. And
there's
anyone
options.
can come in dead last. That's all you got to say. Anyone. And give someone else a chance.
Would be fun too.
Give someone else a chance. Seb would be fantastic. I don't know if he can handle the car. It's been a while. It's been a while
If
for
anyone
Seb.
could probably come in and do it, probably would be Seb.
I guess we'll see. I guess only time will tell. But it is going to be a very exciting 2 weeks. And of course, we will be with you next week. And of course, I didn't mention if you want to get in touch with the show, inthepaddock@gmail.com. Inthepaddock@gmail.com. And if you're listening this far, tell your friends. Tell all your friends to listen. Jump on that Apple, and give us a like, give us a heart, give us some love. That's always helpful. Wonderfully helpful as we keep climbing in these Apple charts, and we want to do what's right for you guys. So if you enjoy listening, jump on, tell a friend, and give us a like, especially on them Apple podcasts, because that goes really far, really, really far. So thank you all, sir. Of course, it brings us, as I strap on my helmet and jump in the cockpit here, Quizmaster's cockpit. As always, 3 questions. One time around, we got 3 sectors of questions. I don't know if it's going to be 3 straight questions, or you're going to have multiple parts, or what you got. Is it going to be about China? Is it going to be about whatever else is going on in that melon of yours? But I guess we're about to find out. First of all, opening week, I went 2 for 3. All right.
Yes.
So not bad, but it's, of course, in your book, it's 100%, or it's an
all
F.
or nothing. It's all or nothing. Go big or go home, son.
All right. So let's see if we're going big or going home here. Hit me.
Question number 1. All questions will be dealing with the Chinese Grand Prix.
Okay.
Well, so I think they're cupcake this week again too. So, question number 1, sir. Who won the first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004?
It was a Ferrari.
That is correct.
Rubens Barrichello?
That is correct.
Ding! Ding!
You're off to a
Dang.
start.
Had to do my homework a little bit, at least.
Question number 2. In what year did Nico Rosberg secure his first win in Formula One at the Chinese Grand Prix? His first ever win in Formula One occurred at the Chinese Grand Prix. In what year did that happen?
Had to be early 2010s. 2012?
That is correct.
Wow, I was about to say 2011, and something told me just 2012.
Wow.
Was that his first?
2 for 2.
That was his first year with
ever win.
Merck.
Wow, 2 for 2 to
I was
start.
leading 2011 so hard too.
You guessed right, sir. So that is 2 for 2 to start.
No way I'm getting
need-
this one.
we need to
Even if
get
it's a
these
cupcake, there's no way I'm getting this one.
We need like suspenseful music right now.
Well,
Get
we
2
don't
for
do
2
this
to
very
start.
often where I get the first 2 right. So I won't get this one right either.
Question number 3. So we have purple sector. Purple sector. Can we put in the laugh?
No.
Question 3. How many times has McLaren won at the Chinese Grand Prix, including this year?
I think Lewis won in a McLaren. We got this year, but it was probably a while. I'm going to be wrong. I'm forgetting something. It's either 2 or 3. I'm going to say 2.
Incorrect. 4.
4.
Correct answer. 08, 10, 11, and 25.
Damn it. Who won in
Always that
Button?
third question.
Button won in 11? Who won in 11?
Button 1 in 10.
Button 1 in 10. All right, well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter.
You got it wrong.
Doesn't matter. Racking my brain there for a second. I didn't do enough homework, Cheese, but that's pretty much, my entire educational life. So, makes me a loser. Listen, 4 out of 6 to start the year is not bad.
That is not bad.
2 out of 3 back-to-back weeks is not bad. I'm smelling it. I'm smelling it.
Yes.
I'm close, but no cigar so far. Which brings us, of course, into losers. And what you got?
Well, I mean, we covered this already in the first segment, but I was going to give it to Yuki Tsunoda 16th. I mean, you're trying to get moved up to the Red Bull, and you're throwing in performances like that. Your teammate didn't even start the race last week. Finished pretty far ahead he is, so that's not good. And then Lawson, 12th place finish, but that's just not good enough. Just not good enough, especially when you're starting dead last in both races. I mean, the sprint race and the actual race to start dead last. I mean, Max has said the car is hard to drive, but you're supposed to be one of the 20th best drivers on the planet. So, I don't think you're going to be in that seat in a week. Or 2 weeks' time.
No, that is some loser.
That is some loser.
That is some loser. And if that's your loser, I don't even want to know what your slap is. Listen, I know he was a winner last week, but Nico Hülkenberg just had a terrible time. Even I think he finished behind Bortoletto. He did. He finished 15th. Bortoletto finished 14th. Not a good day there for Nico Hülkenberg. I know we'll talk about the back of the pack. But after scoring points and looking pretty good up to this point, he definitely spit the bit a little bit in the race. So definitely disappointing. And how about Isaac Hadjar? The guy is phenomenal. All of a sudden, turning heads. And then can't even get in the points. If you're going to finish in quali that high with third row, you got to at least try to get some points there. So that was just a bad job by him. And a bad job by Formula One, because if you go onto the F1 website, they still don't have a picture of Isaac Hadjar up there. You got 20 drivers. You go to like any sports website and they got like a picture, they got hundreds of guys like in these leagues. You can't get a picture of the guy up there. It's a bad job, Formula One. Whoever's running that Formula One website, they deserve the slap. I know you got a slap for someone else, but can you get the man's picture up? You got 20 drivers, okay? And those are my losers. And throw in a third one, whoever's a Formula One running that website. You do not disagree with me. I see it in your face. I see it in your face. See, you got winners here?
I got some winners for you.
All right. Settle down.
Williams, both cars in the top 10. That's
yeah,
huge for Williams. That's
why?
Massive for Williams. Well, hey, at the end of the day,
point's a point.
Doesn't matter. If you're in the points, you're in the points. That is huge for Williams, who's definitely trying to get that 5th place in the constructors for sure. So that is massive. And we mentioned it earlier, but quietly, 2 third-place finishes for George Russell. Off to a great start. Just quietly in there. Don't even mention him that often, even during the broadcast. It's just quiet.
Quietly.
Just quietly. But that is a big start. Big start for Merck with him for getting 2/3 That's huge. And those would be my winners.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to his, not just his teammate, but I'm gonna give it to Toto Wolff as well, Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Toto Wolff, because whatever magic he's doing with this kid and this car and this team, they are outperforming just right off the bat. Antonelli finishing sixth, just putting up points once again. You got to give it to the team. And obviously, George Russell, back-to-back podiums. But you got to give it to Andrea Kimi Antonelli. And anyone who ever has listened to this show knows what's coming next. And that is a fifth and an eighth. Are you kidding me? For Haas? Are you kidding me? Just the confidence in this team. Now,
you popped the champagne bottle for that one.
you absolutely popped the champagne bottle for that one. Absolutely. Now, Io Komatsu, I'm going to be honest, he even said it himself, like, do not expect this to continue. But what Io Komatsu has done with this Haas team, it started really after the break last year. You started seeing those signs of those bright light, bringing on a guy like Esteban Ocon, who could have went in a different direction as far as, but finishing fifth for Ocon. I know he always sneaks one in there. And again, Japan's going to be a very different race, so don't expect Haas to repeat a double top 10. But take it when you can get it. And, kudos to the Bear Man. Kudos. He picks up 4 points for himself. He had 7 all of last year. He picks up 4 points. I think he's had 4 career starts, and I think he's scored points in 3 of his 4 career starts. Is that correct? Yeah. Give it up. On multiple teams and multiple continents. What confidence in that young man. Unbelievable. And he's the exact opposite of Liam Lawson right now. He's the exact opposite. Really. Really. And those are my winners, sir. Which, of course, as always, brings us to probably the pinnacle of the show. If I could bring it up.
I need to slap my goddamn for that. I need to slap my goddamn for that.
That is 2 slaps that I just dropped there.
That is 2
and that
slaps,
was
and
purposeful, not a production error. That was purposeful. Take it away, Cheese. Get that anger
Ferrari.
out.
It's gosh darn Ferrari. That was a goddamn embarrassment. Both cars DQ'd. Slap yourself goddamn twice. You know what? Maybe another 2 times. You know what? Make it 10 times for that. That's an embarrassment. You cannot have both cars disqualified. That is a joke. That is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Make you want to vomit. I threw my breakfast watching that crap.
Yeah, and if you look at the constructors now, Ferrari tied for 4th in the constructors with Williams. And guess who's 3 points behind Ferrari in 6th place in the constructors? Haas F1 are nipping at Ferrari's heels. How do you feel about that? That's where Ferrari is right now. Teetering on the bottom 5 teams. And where's Lewis Hamilton's former team? After 2 races of the constructors, of course they're in 2nd. Although, if you're looking at constructors, not to saddle anything here, but McLaren is already way up in the constructors points. They're already 20 plus points up in the constructors after 2 races. So Ferrari's got a lot of freaking work to do, man. You better slap yourself to wake your ass up, because something's as we said this time last year, something's rotten at Red Bull, something's rotten at Ferrari, and there's something wrong. There's got to be, because there's no reason this should be happening this early in the season. And with Red Bull's struggles, Ferrari should be taking full advantage of Red Bull's struggles, and they're not. And Mercedes is. Mercedes is taking advantage of Red Bull's struggles, and Ferrari is not. And that cannot continue if Ferrari's going to be competitive this year. And if Ferrari's the third or fourth best team this year, Lewis Hamilton is not going to have a very happy season.
No. A lot of people aren't going to be happy. Tifosi are going to be an angry group of folk.
Did Tifosi get angry quick, man? But it's been a while. And when you dangle the carrot of hope in front of a team that hasn't won in almost 2 decades, they're diehard fans who spend their life working their asses off as many hours as possible in their jobs a week just to be able to see like 1 or 2 races a year. They live for it. And you dangle a Lewis Hamilton and Red Bull's pulling back and McLaren is, while they're good, they're still a question mark. And then you give them this. Yeah, they're going to be pissed as hell.
Man. You know what that sound means? Best damn sound of the week, and especially after this week. Gonna have to get a little extra while we're down here. We take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island of Greentown. The beer flows like wine, and the wine flows like beer. The cannabis, oh yes, my friends. That cannabis that grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it out there, look at it. Green and luscious. Take a little whiff. That air smells. Yes. Take a little walk to the top of the hill with our tickets in hand. That casino top. Are we cashing in or are we checking out?
Wow. Interesting week this week. Okay, so let's put it this way. We both lost overall, but we both hit one bet that cashed in enough. And this is why, kids, if you're going to gamble, which you shouldn't, and this is imaginary money, these are greenie bucks, as we say. We're at the top of imaginary hill in an imaginary land, so we are not gambling with real schkanol, as they would say. But at the same time, when you play the plus line, and this is why. Cheese, I'm going to go over your numbers first here. You went 1 for 4. 1 for 4. You made 4 bets of 50 schkanol, 50 greenie bucks. You had Max podium, came in 4th. That didn't happen. I believe you had Lando winning plus 220, if that was correct. That didn't happen. You had, bear with me, I'm sorry, Lewis podium. That definitely didn't happen. Definitely not. And then you had Carlos Sainz, top 10. Plus 275. You hit that one. You bet 200 greenie bucks, and you made back 187.50. That gives you a negative 12 and a half greenie bucks, giving you a total of, for the season, of 4,500. 12 and a half greenie bucks. You have a slight lead on me. I made 6 bets this week of 50 greenie bucks each, of 300 greenie bucks on the line. Max podium, that didn't happen. Lando over Oscar and Lando winning, plus 180. Lando leader after 1 lap. I really like the plus 650 on the Lando leader after lap 1 because you never know what's going to happen, especially Lando obviously being the best car out there, but that did not happen. He did pass George Russell, so I was hopeful right off the bat, but that didn't happen. Yuki top 6, that definitely didn't happen. That's an embarrassing bet. But I did have 2 Williams in the top 10, plus 400. Obviously, a little luck of the, or unluck of the Italian there, is the Ferraris, as she's just elaborated at length, were disastrous, but worked out in my favor, giving Williams 2 top 10s, plus 400. Still lost overall, negative 50 greenie bucks, negative 1250 for you, so that leaves me at 4,450 greenie bucks, you at 4,512 and a half greenie bucks. My record for the year is 2-10. Your record is 2-10. Mine is 1-11. Not good. Or 1 out of. I'm sorry, 2 out of 10, 1 out of 11. Not end.
Not good.
My
Not good for
apologies.
either of us.
But not good either way. We are both down a good 10% of our stack early. If this trend continues, it's not going to be a good season for us. So that leaves us, of course, with our final segment.
It's a good thing it's fantasy cash. That's all I
Good
can
thing
say.
it's imaginary and not my mortgage payment. All right, sir. It, of course, leaves us with the final segment of the evening, and that is In the News. In the News. What do we got going on in the news?
We got a couple for you here. We'll start off with, that Cadillac will be in Formula One next year, but because of the entry fees they get to pay here, it's $45 million to each team, making a little scun-all for each team there.
I don't think that's enough. Yeah, I saw that. I read this before. We talked about this last year, and you can go back to some of our previous episodes. $45 million for plebeians like us is a lot of money. For a Formula One team, I don't think it's enough to create a competitive balance against a new team. All right? $45 million is not that much for a Formula One team. I know that sounds insane, but I think it could have been close to double that. And I don't think, we're talking about $1 billion entry fee, but I don't think $1 billion entry fee is crazy for a global sport this size to get in. I don't think it's crazy. And most leagues, European sport, especially with relegation, doesn't work like this. You don't have expansion like you have the same way in North American leagues where you have the expansion. You haven't had expansion in a while, but there was expansion, which the new team pays off all the other teams to create some competitive balance to be able to give the existing teams a leg up against the new team coming in. And I don't think it's enough leg up. And I think Formula One overall, I'm assuming they wanted this bad enough to only charge them $45 million. When we were talking about this, I thought it was going to be closer to $100 million. And listen, I'm not sneezing at $450 million, which is the entry fee, right? $45 million times 10 teams. But it should be like double that. And again, like for plebeians like us, these numbers don't make any sense. But as Forrest Gump said, that's all I got to say about that.
Right on. All right. F1 is considering bringing back the V10 for 2030 with reusable fuels. Bring back the V10. Yes, yes, yes. All I gotta say, yes, yes, yes.
All right, so that was a statement, not a question, I'm assuming, as you pass it along my way. I know it's the sound more than the performance of the V10s. It's the classic Formula One sound that you get, that rip-roaring, the one you hear. And if you go back and listen to, I think, episode 125 that we had an interview with what's his name, Who's This Called It, and talked about the Kevin Eason from the London Times, and we talked about that was a big part of kind of what we talked about, was just like back in the day, just the roar of the engines where you heard it from miles away. And that was like when you wake up in the morning and you're like, 6 miles from the track at your hotel having a cup of coffee and you hear that ripping from miles away. Man, that's some good stuff. And that's what it's all about. And it's for those who are like, well, I don't want to hear it. I live within 5-10 miles of a track, and I just don't want to hear the engines like that. And I appreciate the lesser sounding engines. It's once a year, so shut up. Okay? It's not like it's every day. you're not bringing it every day. It's a once in a year event. It's a once in a lifetime for many people event. Obviously, if you work on teams or work on the track, just get extra earplugs or better earmuffs, which you got. And people want to hear the rip roaring. And you said with 2030, so I'm sure there's going to be some balance here of the sound of the V10
because they
with.
just going into the new motor for 26. You're not going to change it, so you're going to give it at least, especially switching back to regular engine again with using reusable fuel. So they're just going to have to give the teams time to design it.
How is that going to change the pit stop situation?
I don't know if it would. Just, have a certain amount of fuel you're allowed to use and go with it. See how it all works out. Not official.
We will see.
Not official.
Very interesting. But that made you smile.
Thinking about it. You're damn right it does.
I don't know if it evened out your Ferrari disastrous weekend.
No, probably not. No, definitely not.
Especially when you got Haas laughing in your face. It's rough. But anyway, we mentioned it several times on the program, but where are we going next, sir?
Well, we still have one more piece of news yet, sir.
Oh, my apologies.
Very sad news, of course, as well.
Oh, my apologies. Yes, very sad news.
With the passing of Eddie Jordan, the founder of Jordan GP back in 1991, brought a little rock and roll to Formula One back in the day.
Absolutely.
Gave a lot of drivers their first debut or their first chance in the sport as well, including a young guy in 1991 named Michael Schumacher.
That's correct.
For anybody who watched Formula One back in the 90s especially when the team changed to the yellow car, which became just infamous. Eddie Jordan was a character. I mean, everybody was jumping for joy down the whole pit wall when they got their one and only victory in '98 at Spa.
Yeah.
Damon Hill behind the wheels.
Damon Hill, yeah.
It's a
trivia question from last week, Damon Hill.
Yeah, it's a sad day to see Eddie pass.
It was a sad day, but let's celebrate the life of someone who lived just an unbelievable life. He was never an extremely skilled race car driver, but he was able to race Le Mans. He was able to, dip his toe into the Formula One world, even though he was never, officially a didn't have a long-term career in racing, but was able to live his dream, worked his ass off to live his dream. And it just shows that some guys are extremely talented and others just make it happen. And Eddie Jordan's the guy who just made it happen. He didn't have the tools, the pieces, the resources that other people that make it happen have. He just sheer will, absolute sheer will. And he walked in, and obviously Schumacher was stolen by Benetton, right after that first race, the next week.
Yeah.
And Ron Dennis famously says, "Welcome to the Piranha Club," as famously said.
Correct. That is
welcome to the Piranha
correct.
Club.
Yes.
And Eddie Jordan wasn't that personality. He was never that personality to bite someone's head off. He was just a good guy who just loved racing, loved being a part of it, never wanted to be the champion of the world. He just wanted to be a part of this amazing sport, and he lived his dream. That's a man who lived his dream. If you don't know about Eddie Jordan, there's some amazing videos that obviously have come out through Formula One over the last, few days here. Check those out because his story is amazing. And it transcends sport. And I hope they make a movie about this guy because really amazing.
100% agree. Eddie was, even if you didn't like him, you liked a different team. But in the deep down, you always rooted for Eddie in this team. You always rooted for the Jordan. You always did. And he gave so many drivers a chance back at a time when not many people were giving drivers a chance. And he did it constantly, even going back before getting into Formula One. When he's running F3 teams and stuff. I mean, he gave Martin Brundle a shot. Just the amount of just the names of drivers that he gave a chance to, who ended up becoming somebody because of Eddie giving him that chance. So,
an amazing figure, a great loss for the sport, but again, a man who lived his dream, never let anything stop him. Just an absolute testament and a rare breed. Rare breed. So, sir, now I can ask you once again, where are we going next?
2 weeks. We go to the Isle of Japan. Going back to Suzuka. Early this season. Exciting.
Early in the season, Suzuka.
And we will see who will be in the second Red Bull seat.
It's going to be an interesting week. We will see you all next week as well. We're going to have a little special news update. I'm sure there'll be plenty of news next week for a little short show and a little update between races for sure. I can't imagine there not being news between now and Japan. So we will definitely see everyone next week. And, of course, check us out in the paddock@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube. We're going to have clips up. Don't forget to like us on Apple. Give us those likes, help us out, help us reach our goal so we can give you guys more content. Say what you got to say, brother.
Always, my friends. We'll see you next week. Before we'll see you at the track in 2. And as always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace. All right.